Oh, yeah. Let's go, people. Make some noise for Garrisons.
Wow, what a crowd tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Expo Ultra Legacy Lounge, live right here at Sylvia Park's Garrisons Public House. Sione, how good's this crowd tonight?
Bro, this crowd is awesome, and they're pumped, and they're ready for a Warriors win tonight. Mean.
We got to address the elephant in the room. Anyone here for a Raiders win tonight? That's absolutely perfect. Hey, just before we get into it, Sione, obviously we had our first show last week. What a hit that was, but what have we been up to since then? How's our week been?
Week's been okay, bro. Just planning for this show. Obviously, I'm based in Rotorua, so it's a bit of a drive every time. But coming here and seeing all these Warrior supporters makes it worthwhile.
Nah, perfect. Now, just while we've got the opportunity, we want to acknowledge the sponsors of our show. Firstly, Export Ultra, DB Breweries for jumping on board and helping us bring the Legacy Lounge to life. Also, Dynasty Apparel, the wonderful makers of all of our uniforms, and also just a privilege to be here at Garrisons Public House.
Awesome. So what have we got lined up?
Okay, so tonight for everybody, as you would have seen on all the advertising throughout the week, we would have Ruben Wiki, former Raider, former Warrior, Kiwis legend, lined up as our guest for tonight. I've just got a little bit of news for everybody. Unfortunately, Ruben isn't able to join us tonight for a very personal family reason. Unfortunately, he's had a death in the family very close to his heart. His father has just passed away earlier this evening, so unfortunately, and for good reason, Ruben will not be here tonight, but that doesn't mean the action stops. We've got a wonderful guest, and it's the gentleman that's standing to my left, Mr. Sione Faumuina himself. Everyone make some noise for Sione!
Yeah. And just on that with Ruben, just a bit of background with Rubes. Ruben and I, we started our careers at the Raiders, and it's obviously the boys are playing the Raiders tonight, and so, you know, on behalf of our team here at the Legacy Lounge, we just want to send our thoughts and prayers to Ruben and his family during this time, and no doubt we will see him here eventually before the season ends, but yeah.
Nah, awesome. Thank you so much, Sione. And once again, our thoughts and prayers are with Ruben and his family. So without further ado, let's just get this Legacy Lounge started for the evening. Let's rip in to what happened last week at Mount Smart Stadium, at Go Media Mount Smart Stadium. How good were our Warriors versus those Roosters last week? 42-18. Sione, let's be honest with ourselves. Did you see that result coming?
No, I didn't, right? I did see a win. I didn't see that scoreline. One of the things I was really impressed with, bro, was Tanner Boyd. I think that's the best game he's had in the jersey, but also the combination that he had with Chanel Harris-Tavita.
Absolutely, and I think something that we probably take for granted now is that the Roosters are a premiership contender. Everyone's seen their lineup. They've got stars in that back line, obviously led by James Tedesco, Mark Nawakanitawase, one of the best names in footy going around at the moment. But our forward pack absolutely dominated the Roosters. How impressive was Jackson Ford last week?
Yeah, Jackson Ford, your typical Aussie grinder, had an outstanding game. Another big game for him, I think, in line tonight. And look, I reckon if they play as good as they did last week, I think they're going to be in for, the Raiders are going to be in for a long night.
Absolutely. And one other fellow who had a great game, he plays his 150th game for the club tonight. Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, he chased everything. He jumped for everything, and he set up 2 tries for
Do we have a RTS fan?
We have
obviously.
a massive RTS fan over here.
Whereabouts are you from? Melbourne. Oh my gosh, we have a fan from all the way from Melbourne. Let's give her a round of applause. I think we've also got some whānau from Hamilton. Make some noise if you're from Hamilton.
And I believe we've also got some that have first time on a plane all the way from Christchurch.
Where's it? Who's it? Oh, congratulations, bro. Sorry, mate, just went off track there.
No, that's all good. Well, just talking about flying, as we said, Roger was flying last week in the air, chasing everything. And set up a couple of tries for Chanel Harris-Tavita. You've touched on Tanner having his best game, Chanel having a blinder last week. Everyone's talking about when Luke Metcalf will be available. Who plays in the halves when Luke Metcalf becomes available?
Okay, I'm going to speak like openly and frank here because it's all about transparency, right? When Luke comes back, one of them have to go. That's just how it works in the NRL system. He's the number one halfback for the club. He's probably one of the highest paid players. So Luke will definitely slot straight back in. Who for? I don't know.
One way to sit on the fence, mate. That's awesome. So that's enough for the Warriors game. We're going to touch on the Raiders real quick. They fell behind early. They quickly took off against the Manly Seagulls last week. Then they took their pedal off, or their foot off the pedal, so to speak. And then it went to Golden Point. And then young Ethan Sanders steps up, hits a field goal. Are we going to see a similar grind tonight when the Raiders take on the Warriors at Go Media Stadium?
Yeah, I think we are. The Raiders are renowned for grinding out games to win, but they also are slow starters as well. I don't want to bring it up because, I'm just being honest. I started my career at the Raiders, so I don't want to stick it in them too much. But last year was a perfect example, right? Minor premiers, and then everything turned to kaka. So, hopefully they've learnt this time around to close games out.
Yeah, beautiful. Now, that's enough of the games last week. We're living here in the now. We're looking forward towards the future. But before we do so, we want to give a big shout out to our friends at Dynasty Apparel, who've looked after us, kidding us out. Look at us. You look so handsome and I look like me. We've got a bit of a giveaway to go off over here.
Hold on. Just before Rob starts, for all of you that go to Warriors games, they have a season ticket, all that stuff. Do you know that this is Rob, the sign guy? Does everyone know Rob, the sign guy? Right? Cool. So, Rob, what sign do we have today?
So, if you follow me on social media, you'll know. If you don't, it's a little bit of a dig at the Broncos from last night, who got absolutely humiliated by the Eels. It's a great result.
Thank you. You're the best.
Not
You're
exactly
the one that fell over there. Yeah.
Not exactly a fan of the Eels, but more so less of a fan than the Broncos. So look out for that. It's a bit of a dig at the Broncos and Mitch Barnett, who seems to be heading that way next year.
Awesome.
Sweet. So let's get stuck into our first giveaway of the night. I'm going to need a little bit of interaction from you guys as a crowd, so I'm going to come out very, very shortly. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We have here a Warriors training run tee. Not going to be specific about size because whoever wins it deserves it.
That's the, is that the training or the captain's tee? That's the training. The training tee 2026. Who wants one?
So make some noise if you want. Make some noise if you want this.
I love you, Sione! Me! I love the Warriors!
Sonny, you got a jersey, man!
I love me! I want the fucking top!
That's the sort of energy we want here in the Legacy Lounge Live. Now, here we go.
All the way from Christchurch, ladies and gentlemen!
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Nice and easy. It's a very, very simple one to take this off my hands. I just need the first person to yell out the correct answer to this very, very simple question. Who scored the first try for the One New Zealand Warriors last week versus the Sydney Roosters? Yell out the answer. I've got a Tanner Boyd over here at our Hamilton table. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
Make some noise!
Here we go, all yours. Brother, what's your name?
Duncan.
Duncan, all the way from Hamilton. Now, you've come up here obviously to see Sione, maybe catch myself, but what's your score prediction for tonight's game?
28-18 to the Warriors.
28-18 to the Warriors. Thank you so much, Duncan. Congratulations to our first winner of the evening. There'll be more to come. Sione, that's us. Let's carry on with the show.
Congratulations, guys. We've got one more giveaway, which we'll do win at the end day. Okay, so before we go to our next segment, can everyone have a look at that big screen? And the screens around you, see that QR code? If you scan that, you go into the draw to win 2 tickets to the NRL Grand Final. Nah, just joking. That's just a link to our Instagram page. So if you can please scan it and give us a follow, and we'll pick a winner as well from there.
And just on that also, make sure you tag us in your stories, Legacy Lounge live show on Instagram, because you never know what might happen. You might get a special shout out on our stories as well. So anyways, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we're going to get into the guts and the glory of our Legacy Lounge live show tonight. As we mentioned, we are winging it a little bit. We've obviously lost our first guest, and we're moving on to our next. For those of you who don't know, and if that means you weren't listening earlier, Sione actually started his career at the Canberra Raiders. So it's quite fitting that even though we've had an interruption, we are here talking with a former Raider and a former Warrior and a former Cowboy and a former bad boy of the NRL.
Hey,
We'll touch on that a little bit later. But Sione, talk to us about how footy started for you. Let's go all the way back to a young fella, first time picking up a ball.
All right, here's the long story in the shortest possible way. I didn't start playing league until I was 18. I was living in Wellington and moved up, and my best mate was playing for a club called Glenora. He invited me to a training one day. From there, he invited me to play that Saturday. We played against the Marlins. After that first game, I got invited to trial for the Auckland under-18 side. 6 weeks later, went and tried for Auckland, made that side, went to Nationals, got player of the tournament, fought of the tournament, and also made New Zealand under-18s. By the time I got back, I had a phone call from an agent. He goes, hey mate, we've got some NRL clubs interested in signing you. Come over to Australia. Visited the Roosters, Panthers, before signing a 2-year contract with the Raiders. That all happened in the span of about 6 months.
That is absolutely crazy. 6 months from first time actually playing the game to a professional contract. Now, pinch yourself moment. You arrive at the Raiders, you get to debut, but obviously you're doing your trainings and you're playing your lower grades. Who were some of the guys that were there at the Raiders during your time there that you absolutely was gobsmacked?
Yeah.
And then tried to imitate your game or mimic your game based on their levels of professionalism?
Yeah. Well, I know we've got a few guys here that would have watched footy back in the late 80s, early 90s, right? Especially the Raiders team from that era. So here I am, 18 years of age. I turn up to my first preseason training. There's Mal Meninga, there's Brett Mullins, there's Laurie Daly, Jason Croker, and here's this kid from flipping New Zealand lining up alongside them and doing my first preseason training.
See, I'm gobsmacked because I'm listening to that name just going, wow.
Brett Mullins, Kenny Nagas, like they were all there when I first got there.
Obviously, there would have been a slightly older than you, but still young fella by the name of Ruben Wiki. And now, obviously, he's supposed to be our guest tonight. Yep. What was his influence in terms of your career as a young Kiwi boy going over to Canberra?
The awesome thing about Ruben is the mana that he carried at the Raiders. He had so much respect amongst all the players, all the staff, all the coaches. So he pretty much led the way for us young Kiwi boys. But when I got there was only about 4 of us Kiwis there. This is the early 2000s. Now you look across all NRL teams, there's 50% of the NRL playing cohort are Māori and Pacifica.
And so there was one thing I wanted to address with Ruben was about versatility. Where he was a centre, moved to the second row, then became probably one of the best props that we've ever seen play the game. Versatility also is attached to your name. Now, you've played a number of positions, which I'm hoping you'll touch on, but what is your natural position? What did you prefer?
I preferred left edge, second row. Back in those days, we had ball-playing back rowers, right? So New Zealand was renowned for producing ball-playing back rowers. My second preferred position was standoff, 5'8", centre, and I also played one game. You can look it up online. I played one game at halfback for the Warriors. I swear, they gave me Stacey's jersey, and it was like this. I was running around, and Stacey's jersey halfway up my stomach.
So I'm sitting here and I'm a little bit I'm just amazed. 6 months you get a professional contract. You play 4 or 5 different positions. You just a natural sportsman? Is it something to do with the oval ball, or could you play almost anything? Were you Sonny Bill before Sonny Bill?
Oh, I don't know. I don't want to, there's a big comparison, eh? But yes, I was. But I think if you're an 80s baby and you grew up in the 80s, right? We didn't have phones. We didn't have any of that stuff. All we had was a ball to kick around with the kids around the neighborhood. And so, so for me, sport was just around me growing up as a kid.
No, it's fantastic. And now let's touch on your time a little bit more in depth at the Warriors. Obviously, we've got some good memories. 2002, we get to the grand final, and you don't quite make that squad. What was the feeling like being a part of the squad, but not being the team that took the field that day? And be honest with us.
Unfiltered. You want the unfiltered version? To this day, I still have not watched that 2002 grand final. I was 21 years of age. I had a big sook. Why did I have a big sook? I didn't make the team, but the club had allocated 6 extra tickets, seats, flights to 6 players to go over as part of the squad. I wasn't a part of that 6. So for me, I ended up going out, and then they had a big parade and everything the next day. I didn't show up. That just shows how immature I was back in those days.
And you know what? That's understandable when you don't get to take part in the one thing that you're building up your time. But upon reflection, could we have done things a little bit differently? Could we have earned our spot maybe in the team? Yep. Do you regret anything? Yep,
I reckon there was heaps of opportunities for me to push for a spot. I'm not going to lie, man. That 2002 season, the vibe around the country was similar, if not more electric than, I guess, the last couple of years here. Daniel Anderson was so instrumental in getting around New Zealand as a head coach to promote the Warriors brand.
No, wonderful. And I'm going to give an opportunity to someone in the crowd. If you've got a question, I will come out and let you ask a question to our guest here. But just touching on a little, where we do everything from the beginning to the end. There was obviously a bit of a patch there before you left the Warriors, before going on to the Cowboys. You were labelled the bad boy of the NRL, the bad boy of New Zealand Rugby League.
I still am, nah.
Testing times. Firstly, are you glad that it happened back then and not in this time of social media? Because that would have been a whole nother kettle of fish. But how's our development been as a person going from that bad boy of the NRL to who you are today?
Yeah, that's a good question. So you got to remember, it was never my dream to play in the NRL or as a professional athlete. So if you heard my story, I literally just fell into it, right? So here I am, 21, 22 years of age, earning multiple 6 figures. My head is as big as this whole thing. I can't even walk through doors, right? So I didn't know how to deal with that pressure. When I talk about pressure, I talk about everyone loved us when we were doing well. But the moment we didn't, from 2004, especially 2004, it's like everything changed, You go out in public and people are like, bro, you're useless. And I was like, but you said I was good last year. Do you know what I mean? So everyone had switched. I didn't know how to deal with it. Reflection now, I think that's made me the man I am today. And so a lot of the work that I do now with our current players is just sharing my stories in the hopes that they don't make the same mistakes. In all honesty, if I had my same career today, it probably would have lasted 3 games.
And then now the transition out of footy into life in general now, we've all seen on social media you're an avid golfer. Yep. How's that been for you in terms of growth, in terms of a bit of stability in life? How is that golf journey, and are we getting better or not?
Do we have any golfers in here? Does anyone play golf in here? Yep. Cool. Oh, true. Yep. It's one of the hardest games I've ever played in my life. But it's teaching me about patience. So, yeah, I'm happy I've started that journey.
Nah, perfect. Okay, so just double checking, did anyone have a question here for our guest Sione Faumuina? Perfect. That means I've asked all the good questions and none of you got anything else to ask. So just as we mentioned a little bit earlier, we're going to go off our interactions of our social media. So you guys would have seen the QR code that popped up earlier. For those of you, just making sure you all gave it a quick follow. And we're going to give away this, which is part of the training training hoodie. We're giving away this, and we're looking for one of our lucky followers, which is going to pop up very shortly. There we go. So Sione is modeling that off. And our newest follower, that is the recipient of that beautiful hoodie, is Micah Irwin. Micah Irwin. Where can we find Micah Irwin? There we go. So while Sione makes his way back up here to the stage, we're just going to quickly touch on the game tonight as the Warriors look to take on the Raiders. The Warriors have an unchanged lineup as we head into round 2. There was possibly going to be an interruption with Adam Pompey expecting his first child, but as far as we know at the moment, everything is as planned, with the Raiders only seeing Josh Papali'i out due to concussion protocol and Matt Tomoko possibly making a return. Sione, just in regards to the Raiders, we said they're a grinding team. How do you feel that they're going to go tonight as an ex-Raider?
Look, as an ex-Raider, you can't go past the quality players that the Raiders do have. Joe Tarpany comes to mind, right? They've also got a pretty stunning forward pack as well. I actually think it's going to be a bit of a grind for both teams, and it's going to be tight. But yeah, I think the Warriors will be too good in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. And just if we touch on our backlines as well, the Raiders have Weeks, KO Weeks, and Xavier Savage. They got speed to burn. We're going to need to shut them down early. How do we do so? How do we maintain that?
If you watched the Warriors defend last week, and you're an avid, analyst of the game, they've changed their defensive structure on the edges. So what I've noticed from last weekend's game is that they're starting to retreat to buy themselves time. I think Webby has figured out that the up and in sort of wasn't working last year, so they're getting up hard and they're retreating to buy time. If they do that against the Raiders' edge, especially with that speed, they should be able to contain them.
Yes, absolutely. Now, just a quick game prediction. Can you give me a score? Give me a quick score.
24-16 Warriors.
24-16 Warriors for Sione. I'm going 28-24 to the Warriors. I think it's going to be nice and close. So that's our predictions for the game. We're looking forward to a wonderful evening at Go Media Mount Smart Stadium. Just before we take off here, Sione, we have our legacy question, our one question we ask all of our guests that take the stage with us this season. Sione Faumuina, former Raider, former Warriors, former Cowboys, how do you want to be remembered by Warriors fans?
I want to be remembered by Warriors fans for being a player that was able to, turn his life around. As someone that didn't have the best name in the media during his career, now married, father of 5 kids, an advocate for mental health and well-being. That's what I'd hopefully Warriors supporters would remember me for. And also that pass behind my head, which to Ivan Tumavave, I still think that's the best Warriors try ever.
One of the greatest try assists of all time. Ladies and gentlemen, that is us for this week's episode of the Export Ultra Legacy Lounge. Please make some noise for the Export Ultra Legacy Lounge.
We're going to see you again here for every Warriors home game. Legacy Lounge, Rob and myself, thank you, and we look forward to catching you all again soon.
See you later, everyone. Peace out.